Comparing players can be quite fun, eh? Some people would agree with the comparisons, and others will resort to sharing memes and trying to be funny just to prove a point, whatever that may be. So today, we'll try to be serious, no promises, and figure out who is a better player. Is it Luka Modric, who evaded taxes and rarely goes to Croatia, or is it Kevin De Bruyne, who was embarrassed by his ex-girlfriend who was cheating on him with Belgium teammate Thibaut Courtois? Woman, right?
Women.
Before we open this Pandora's box and make people lose their humanity, smash that subscribe button and turn your notifications on. Because why wouldn't you do that, right? So when you start comparing two of the greatest midfielders of our times, you need to look at the circumstances in which these two players set upon establishing their respective legacies. Luka Modric knew that staying at Tottenham would not mean winning a damn thing, so he did something with Daniel Levy few players have done. Not that, you dirty dogs. He convinced the Spurs owner into letting him go. Modric found himself at Real Madrid, and unlike many talented players whose legs shake at the mere thought of representing this great institution, the Croatian international took the proverbial bull by its horns and showed it that he ain't a one-hit, one-season, or one-team wonder. Modric has not looked back since, winning quite a few cups, league titles, and playing a major role in re-establishing Real Madrid as the lords of the manor, which we have come to know as the UEFA Champions League. And of course, his achievements were duly rewarded, with Modric winning the Ballon d'Or in 2018, in the year where he also guided Croatia to the FIFA World Cup final, which they lost to France. No shame in that. Now, Kevin De Bruyne had a very different journey. He was snapped up by Chelsea as a teenager because the Blues thought he showed great potential, and Chelsea had quite an obsession with signing young players and loaning them out. With Jose Mourinho in charge at Stamford Bridge, the young Belgian would never get a fair shot at first team, so he eventually moved to VfL Wolfsburg. Now, Wolfsburg was a team that rarely threatened the established elite in German Bundesliga, but was a great platform for De Bruyne to continue his development. A couple of years later, he became one hell of a midfielder and was rightly snapped up by Manchester City, whose cash-rich owners had embarked on blowing away competition. The arrival of De Bruyne changed everything for City, who started dominating the Premier League and English football in general. Of course, that was never going to be enough. City are a squad that was built to dominate European football. And just like that military commander who lost the battle 9 times, City were able to win the Champions League. Okay, let's just stop here for a second, because now we're going to say something quite controversial. City won the Champions League, but De Bruyne did not play a big role in that, because he was forced off the pitch due to an injury at the start of the first half of the game. That, people, is a bitter truth. Because losing De Bruyne so early in such an important game mattered little, since City took care of Internazionale without making a big deal out of it. Now, a keyboard warrior would say that since City did not need De Bruyne to win the Champions League, the Belgian is probably an overrated player and that City fans should pipe down. If that's how things are, we should stop the comparison between Modric and De Bruyne and call it a wrap. But that would be very childish, don't you think? So we'll start off this comparison by stating one thing. Both players are two of the greatest midfielders of our time, and dare we say, of all time. They're definitely right up there with the likes of Xavi, Andres Iniesta, Paul Scholes, Steven Gerrard, Andrea Pirlo, and many others. So discounting their contributions to the game just because they represented clubs that you genuinely hate should be considered a cardinal sin, and the punishment for that would be to watch Emil Heskey lead the line for an all-time Legends team. Now, when it comes to comparing two players, it is never an easy task because there are so many metrics through which we need to rationalize their attributes and output. So first we're going to start off with work rate, because both players have played in systems where midfielders are expected to be tireless runners. Here we feel that Kevin De Bruyne takes a lead, because the Belgian is a tireless runner and covers literally every blade of grass on the pitch. Because of his ability to run himself to the ground, De Bruyne is able to perform multiple roles in midfield. When you play under a manager like Pep Guardiola, you have to be very versatile, and this is where De Bruyne excels. The Belgian is a solid number 10. He has done well in the number 6 role, and we've even seen him work his magic when he's placed on either side of the midfield in slightly wider roles. A lot of players, their output suffers when they're put in different positions. This is where we're going to make full use of the data. Throughout his entire career, De Bruyne has played 202 games as an attacking midfielder, where he has scored 48 goals and provided 100 assists. As a central midfielder, De Bruyne has played 166 games, scored 49 goals, and provided 72 assists. One left side of midfield, De Bruyne has played 40 games and scored 12 goals and provided 12 assists. As a right winger, he has played 34 games, scored 12 goals and provided 14 assists. Now, if a player has great output in all these roles, it means that there is something special about him. Now, if we look at Luka Modric, it is quite clear that he thrives as a central midfielder, even though we have seen him play in a more deep role for Real Madrid over the years. Throughout his career, the Croatian legend has played 479 games as a central midfielder, which has seen him score 43 goals and provide 76 goals and 9 assists. So if we purely look at statistics and overall output, it is clear that Kevin De Bruyne brings more to his team than Luka Modric. Now this is where things get really interesting. So if you're really someone who likes to explore things in depth, you're in for a treat. Obviously, Modric does not boast goal-scoring or assist-providing stats like De Bruyne does, but then again, he isn't just a player who creates chances out of nothing. Modric tends to create chances when the team desperately needs creativity. During the 2021-22 season, Modric provided 8 assists. 3 of those were decisive since they helped Madrid win 2 games and get themselves a draw. Because of the requirements of his role, Modric tends to keep things cleaner as compared to De Bruyne. For instance, Modric's career pass completion is 86.9%, compared to the Belgian's 75.4%. Modric tends to pick up passes from deeper zones, which is why it is important for him to take fewer risks. De Bruyne, though, has this luxury since a majority of his passes are progressive in nature. But when it comes to progressive distance on passes, it is Luka Modric who has a lead, which once again shows that the Croatian is a midfielder whose game is more about controlling the tempo of the game and elevate those around him. Now, we keep hearing that Kevin De Bruyne is the most dangerous midfielder in the world when it comes to events in the final third. And yes, that is quite true, because in almost every attacking move for Manchester City, De Bruyne has a key role. The Belgian has made 876 passes in the final third, which is a very good number. However, you're about to be shocked, because Luka Modric has a jaw-dropping 1,100 passes in the final third, which is simply phenomenal. Now, we don't need to tell you that both players are great passers and have a telescopic vision that can find things that us mere mortals can't see. But what matters most here is what are the types and outcomes of these passes. The majority of De Bruyne's passes are through balls, switches and crosses. Modric, on the other hand, has passes that are normally switches and crosses, which once again shows that his role is more of a midfield conductor, where keeping things moving is the main task. All these stats prove that De Bruyne is a player whose key task is to create attacking opportunities for his teammates. Modric, on the other hand, has to regulate the tempo of the game, while helping his team in build-up. The build-up side of things can be evidenced by Modric's touches, since he has amassed 1,763 touches in his team's defensive third, while the number for De Bruyne is only 834. So guys, that's our take. Comparing Luka Modric and Kevin De Bruyne just to show who's better is probably not the right way to go about with things. I mean, as long as you really understand football and are slightly less biased towards your opinions, you'd come to know that both players have different profiles and attributes. Modric is a midfield conductor. He loves to dictate the flow of the game, keeps things moving, and creates opportunities for his teammates when the team badly needs some magic. De Bruyne, on the other hand, is a high-risk playmaker who thrives in a number 10 role. He will constantly put in probing passes and will use his off-the-ball movement to get himself in great scoring positions. But here's the thing. You take out both players from their respective sides, and the results for both teams would be drastic. Real Madrid would struggle to conquer Europe the way that they have in the last decade, while Manchester City will find it really hard to stay as dominant in English football as they have been. And if you still think that comparing these two and resorting to memes is the best way to discuss the brilliance of these two, then please let us know your thoughts in the comments section, because we'd love to see some fresh memes. Till next time, everyone.